Most people are trained to look sideways. From the moment we're old enough to understand the world around us, we're taught to compare. In school, we're measured against class averages. In sports, we're ranked against opponents. On social media, we're stacked against curated snapshots of other people's lives. And before we even realize it, we start running a race that was never ours to begin with. But here's the truth: the only person you were ever meant to compete with is you. The old you, the yesterday you, the insecure, unsure, unfocused version of yourself that didn't know what you know now. That's your true rival. That's the one you have to beat every single day. The people around you aren't your competition. They're just evidence that something is possible. If someone else is successful, that doesn't take anything away from your potential. Their shine doesn't dim yours. It's not a zero-sum game, but the moment you let someone else's progress make you feel behind, you give up your power. Because comparison will either make you feel arrogant or inadequate, and neither one helps you grow. Growth is personal, and the beautiful thing about self-improvement is that it's honest, it doesn't lie. You can't fake progress. You either showed up or you didn't. You either made the call or you didn't. You either gave it your all or you didn't. And when you hold yourself to that standard, not perfection, but progress, that's when the shift happens. That's when life starts responding to your effort. The real competition isn't about who's winning around you. It's about whether you're still playing small when you know you've got more in you, whether you're showing up for your goals or just talking about them, whether you're living out of routine or living out of purpose, because if last year's version of you could look you in the eye today, would they be proud? Would they see growth? Would they see discipline? Would they see progress that can't be denied? Self-improvement is not glamorous. It's not about motivational quotes and breakthrough moments. It's in the little things, the hard decisions no one sees. It's choosing focus when you feel distracted. It's showing up to the gym when nobody's watching. It's reading the book instead of scrolling. It's going to bed on time instead of chasing temporary dopamine. It's saying no to the same habits that kept you stuck for years. You want to level up, get addicted to the quiet wins, get obsessed with tracking your own growth. Wake up every day asking, what can I do today that future me will thank me for? Because when that becomes your mindset, it stops mattering what anyone else is doing. Their journey becomes irrelevant. Their timeline, irrelevant. Their applause, irrelevant. You stop performing for approval and start living with intention. And the truth is, you don't need to make massive leaps every day. All you need is proof of progress. Just one step better than yesterday. Because small steps, when done consistently, create momentum. And once you start feeling that momentum, you become dangerous not to others, but to every excuse you used to believe. You stop negotiating with your old self. You stop settling for good enough. You stop hiding behind someday, because now you've got a standard. A personal one, one that doesn't depend on the crowd, one that doesn't fade when nobody's clapping. One that says, I don't need to be the best, I just need to be better than I was. And that mindset, that's what separates those who stay stuck from those who keep rising. Everybody wants to be great, but very few are willing to be consistent. That's the difference. Not talent, not luck, not inspiration. Consistency is what turns average into excellence. It's what separates those who dabble from those who dominate. It's not what you do once in a while that defines you. It's what you do over and over again, especially when it's not exciting, especially when no one is watching. We live in a world obsessed with results, fast money, instant followers, overnight success. But the truth, None of that lasts without roots, and roots take time. They don't grow in a flash. They grow in the dark underground where nobody sees the work being done. That's what consistency looks like. It's the unseen hours, the early mornings, the late nights, the disciplined choices repeated day after day. Mastery doesn't show up in a moment of inspiration. It's built through the grind of repetition. The athlete that dominates the game didn't just show up one day with greatness. It was built in the reps, in the drills, in the sweat. The speaker who moves thousands wasn't born with that voice. It was trained in silence, through stumbles, through forgotten words, through endless practice. The writer who moves souls didn't wait for a perfect moment. They wrote when they didn't feel like it, when the words were clunky, when the doubt was loud. Consistency isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. It builds muscle, physical, mental, emotional. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. And the more votes you cast, the more undeniable that identity becomes. You're not trying anymore, you are. You're not hoping to be great. You're becoming it through repetition. The biggest mistake people make is waiting to feel ready, waiting for motivation, waiting for the right mood. But consistency doesn't depend on how you feel. It's a decision. It's saying, this matters to me enough that I'll show up for it, even on the days when I don't want to. That's the mindset of someone who's going somewhere. Success doesn't come from doing something once. It comes from doing something so often that it becomes a part of you. And the more consistent you are, the less willpower you need, because it stops being a question. You don't wake up wondering, should I work out today? Should I study? Should I build my craft? No, it's what you do. It's who you are now. The truth is, anyone can be motivated for a week. Anyone can work hard when the fire's fresh, but mastery isn't about short bursts of greatness. It's about long stretches of good work. It's about falling in love with the process, not the spotlight. The scoreboard doesn't move every day, but that doesn't mean the work isn't working. That's where most people quit. They mistake silence for failure. They mistake slow progress for no progress. But the ones who win, they keep showing up anyway. You want to master something, outlast the urge to quit. Stay when others walk away. Be the one who keeps going when it's boring, when it's repetitive, when it doesn't feel like it's working, because that's exactly when it's working. It's rewiring your discipline, it's toughening your resolve, it's building something inside of you that can't be shaken by setbacks or swayed by moods. The greatest weapon you'll ever develop isn't raw talent, it's consistency with intention. It's having the courage to keep swinging, keep refining, keep believing, even when the results are invisible. Because real mastery isn't loud, it doesn't beg for attention, it's quiet, it's patient, it's built in the shadows by people who decided to keep showing up no matter what. Your future is not a matter of luck. It's not written in the stars, and it's not handed down by someone more fortunate. Your future is a blueprint, and you are the one holding the pen. Every decision you make, every action you take, every thought you choose to feed or starve is either laying a brick in the foundation of the life you want or adding weight to a structure that will eventually collapse. You don't need permission to build. You need direction. You need clarity. And most of all, you need to believe that your life is something you create, not something you inherit. Too many people live their lives like tenants renting time, waiting for opportunity to knock, hoping someone will show up with the answers. But architects don't wait, they design. They study the landscape, they imagine what's possible, and then they get to work. Not once, not for a week, relentlessly. Every habit you create, every boundary you set, every goal you chase, that's construction. You are laying the structure of your life brick by brick, whether you're aware of it or not. If you're passive, if you're distracted, if you're careless with your time, your energy, your focus, you're still building. But you're building by default instead of by design. And when the storm hits, because it will hit, the strength of what you built will be tested. You want a stronger future. Build a stronger foundation. And that doesn't mean having all the answers. It means asking better questions. What do I value? Where am I going? Who am I becoming? Those are the pillars. Without them, you're just reacting to life, drifting from day to day with no blueprint, no vision, no structure holding you up. You don't need a perfect plan to start building. You just need to take ownership. That means no more blaming the past. No more waiting for the right time. No more saying one day. Because the truth is, if you're not building your life, someone else is. Someone else's opinion, someone else's agenda, someone else's idea of what you should be, and the more you follow someone else's blueprint, the more disconnected you become from your own potential. Being the architect of your future means stepping into the role of creator. It means deciding every day that you're not just going to let life happen to you. You're going to shape it, mold it, reinforce it. You're going to put up walls where they're needed, knock down ones that no longer serve you, and expand the vision as you grow. It also means understanding that not everything will go according to plan. That's part of the job. Even architects have to deal with setbacks, materials that don't arrive on time, structures that don't hold, unexpected weather. But they adjust, they revise, they pivot, and they keep building because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress, integrity, and strength in design. Nobody is coming to save your dream. Nobody is going to hand you the life you want. But you don't need them to, because once you realize you have the tools, your willpower, your focus, your resilience, you stop looking outside and start building from within. This life, your life, is raw material, and it doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter what's crumbled behind you. What matters is what you do with what you have now. Will you build something temporary or something lasting? Will you design a life of purpose or let it be patched together by chance? You are not just a participant in your life. You are the one drawing the lines, making the measurements, setting the boundaries. You are the one deciding what gets built and what gets torn down. You're not living in someone else's house anymore. You're building your own. There comes a point when you realize that chasing approval is a race with no finish line. No matter how fast you run, no matter how much you achieve, no matter how well you perform, there will always be someone who doesn't clap, someone who doubts, someone who thinks you're not enough. And if your sense of peace depends on their applause, you'll always be at the mercy of their opinion. Peace isn't earned by meeting other people's expectations. It's claimed by rejecting the need to, because validation from others is fleeting. One moment they love you, the next they question you. One moment they're cheering, the next they're silent. If your worth is tied to how they see you, you'll constantly be shifting to match their preferences and lose yourself in the process. Real peace starts when you stop needing permission to be who you are, when you wake up and realize that the world's approval doesn't build your confidence, you do. That your identity isn't something to be voted on, that the quiet in your mind is more powerful than the noise on the outside. Because when you have peace within, it doesn't matter who doubts you. It doesn't matter who misunderstands you. You're no longer performing, you're living. Most people don't have inner peace because they've outsourced their sense of self. They look outward to define inward. They think if they get enough likes, enough compliments, enough recognition, they'll finally feel secure. But insecurity doesn't come from a lack of validation. It comes from placing too much value on it. It's not about what they think. It's about what you believe when no one's watching. Peace isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't shout. It's quiet, strong, steady. It's the feeling you get when you know you're walking in truth, when you know your values are intact, when you don't have to explain or justify your journey. It's the confidence that comes from alignment, knowing that your actions, your words, and your direction match who you say you are. But finding that peace requires a break from the constant feedback loop. It means learning to be alone with your thoughts and not run from them. It means turning off the noise long enough to hear your own voice. It means doing the hard work of asking, what do I believe? What do I want? What am I building? Not what looks good, not what gets the most praise, what feels right deep down. You can't find peace in a crowd if you've never found it in yourself, because crowds are fickle. They love you when you're winning. They disappear when you fall. But when your peace comes from within, you stop relying on outside circumstances to feel whole. You stop waiting for recognition to feel worthy. You stop adjusting your truth to make other people comfortable. The most dangerous thing about needing outside validation is that it gives other people control of your mood, your momentum, and your mission. One negative comment can ruin your day. One rejection can make you question everything. That's not power, that's bondage. And you were not built to live that way. Freedom comes when you take the weight off other people's shoulders and stop expecting them to carry your worth. When you realize you were already enough before they noticed, before they approved, before they praised you. That peace you've been chasing, it's not out there. It's been waiting for you to look inward and trust it. Not in the noise, not in the spotlight, not in the crowd, but in the calm you build by standing firm in who you are. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Most people never learn that. They treat silence like it's something to fear. They run from it, fill it with noise, fill it with people, fill it with distractions, but growth doesn't happen in the noise. It happens in the stillness, in the moments when no one's watching, when there's nothing left to impress. Nothing to prove, just you, your thoughts, and the truth that won't let you hide anymore. Isolation is where real transformation begins. Not the kind you post about, not the surface level stuff. The deep, internal kind, the kind that demands your full attention. The kind that breaks your patterns and rebuilds your foundation, because when you're isolated, you start to hear yourself clearly. You start to confront the parts of you that have been ignored, buried, or masked by your environment. You stop performing, and you start becoming. People love the idea of success, but they hate the process. And part of that process, being alone, being misunderstood, being invisible for a while. When you're truly focused on building something real, whether it's your purpose, your mindset, your body, your craft, you will walk through seasons where it feels like no one gets it. Where your phone gets quiet, where the support you thought you had fades out, that's not punishment. That's preparation. Isolation strips away the noise so you can finally see what's real. You find out what drives you when there's no one around to clap for you. You learn discipline when motivation's gone. You find clarity when there's no one else's opinion clouding your vision. And that's when you level up, not just in skill, but in strength, mental, emotional, spiritual. You start to stand on your own 2 feet. People will confuse your isolation for struggle. They'll think you're lost, that you're off track. But what they don't see is that you're in the lab. You're refining. You're not wasting time. You're sharpening your edge. You're building endurance. You're creating distance between the old you and the one that's about to emerge. The silence isn't empty. It's full of lessons, full of strategy, full of healing. Refinement isn't glamorous. It's gritty, it's uncomfortable. It forces you to let go of what you thought you needed. You lose some friends. You lose some habits. You might even lose your old identity, but you gain something more valuable, depth. Direction, control over your emotions, peace that doesn't depend on anyone else. You stop craving validation. You stop explaining yourself. You stop lowering your standard to stay connected to people who were never meant to go where you're headed. When you're isolated, you have a choice: numb the discomfort or face it. Most people choose to numb. They distract, they chase relationships they don't respect, they consume content that doesn't feed them, they chase quick highs just to avoid the quiet. But the ones who grow, they lean in, they embrace the solitude, they understand that isolation is not a void, it's a workshop. A refining fire that burns off the unnecessary. You're not meant to be available to everyone all the time. You're not supposed to carry noise 24/7. Some seasons are for separation, not because you're broken, but because you're being rebuilt. Some of the strongest versions of yourself are forged in moments when it feels like nobody sees you. That's when you realize the real work, the lasting change, the inner strength, all of it happens when the world goes quiet. This season of isolation isn't about abandonment, it's not punishment, it's the cocoon before the breakthrough. It's the underground before the rise. It's the space where you lose the need to be seen and gain the power to see yourself more clearly than ever. The moment you decide to focus on yourself is the moment everything changes, not because the world gets easier, but because you get clearer. You stop giving your energy to distractions. You stop measuring your worth against others. You start showing up with discipline, building consistency brick by brick. You realize you're not waiting for someone to rescue you. You're building your life with your own hands. And you're not chasing peace through applause or approval. You're creating it from within. Some seasons will feel quiet, isolated, misunderstood, but that silence isn't emptiness. It's refinement. It's preparation. It's where greatness is born. So step back from the noise, lean into the work, and keep building. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Your only responsibility is to the future you're designing. Stay locked in, stay grounded, and never forget your life is your project and your focus is your power.